Cute. Okay. I'm just gonna like share this. Okay. Okay, done.
Yay!
Okay, amazing. Okay, so hi. I just wanted to just double check that like it all sounds okay. Sorry for anyone who's watching now or early or right on time. Give us a moment as we just make sure that like the live sounds good. We can hear each other well. I'm just gonna give it a second. And, oh, could you say something just to make sure?
Oh, yeah, hi. I'm ready. I'm excited.
Cool. Me too. Me too. Yeah, give us one
Yeah,
moment.
perfect.
Okay, everything sounds perfect, so we can get started. Yay! Okay, oh my god, I love that your cat's in the back. Okay, so Meaghan, thank you so much for doing this with me. I'm so excited to have you here because like as much as this is for everyone's education, I'm doing this for selfish reasons because I really have been fascinated about this subject. And when you told me that you do dom work, that you are a dominatrix, my jaw dropped like crazy. I don't know if you remembered, I was so excited and I knew I wanted to have you on. Before I let you introduce yourself, I'm just going to quickly introduce like what this is to the audience for anyone who's watching. So I am right now interviewing my coach, and I had no idea of the other work that she did, but she is my money coach, and we did some amazing work together. And then I am working on a project now called the Love Lost Dolls Project, which is really like my love letter to all sexy women out there and women who own their sexuality, and also a love letter to sex workers, right? And I think because of you being in the Discord and you following that I was doing this project, that's how I found out that you also do sex work, and I was blown away. So why don't you introduce yourself for this interview?
Yeah, hi, I'm Megan. I am a pleasurable money coach and I'm also a dominatrix.
Oh my God. Okay. That is amazing. Okay. So, I guess we can just like go right into, understanding how this all works. Why don't we just start with the basics first? Like how, how did you first get into this? Like what drew you into it? Tell us the story of like how this started to happen. How did this become part of your life?
Yeah. So it's so funny, actually. I got a DM from a random dude on Instagram that was like, "Do you know what a pay pig is?" And I was like, "No. What are you talking about?" And he was like, "Yeah, I just think that all women should be paid to like be just to live, pretty much." And he was like, "I think you should know about pay pigs, which is what we call, some people call certain types of submissives in the lifestyle, and so and specifically in financial dominatrix, that's kind of the lingo that we use, pay pig.
Okay.
It's not my favorite lingo. I prefer like pet or like slut. Some dudes really like to be called slut,
Yeah.
and I'm like all about that. I'm a slut, so I was like, let's be sluts together.
Yes.
So I was like, tell me more, like where do I even go to like figure out information? And he was like, well, I found my dom through Twitter. And so I was like, done. I created a NSFW Twitter, and
Okay.
like it was born. And I just like followed a bunch of doms and kind of picked up how they were interacting with their audience and mimicked that and kind of put my own twists on it, because originally, so I'm a money coach, and so my whole thing is like money empowerment and like feeling good and lit the fuck up about your money. So it really kind of didn't align with my message as a money coach to make men feel like shit about their money so it's different. It's a little bit different for me the way I do my financial doming. We talk a lot about empowerment. I'm a much more like loving, like motherly, nurturing dom than I am like a crack the whip. Like you have, but it can be fun to be like, you know, bossy and like rude sometimes, which they love. They love the duality, but that's the origin story.
Oh my God, that's amazing. So was there something about the way, okay, first of all, I love that like women should just get paid to exist, right? Like how sick is that? Was there something about your Instagram or the way that you were already showing up on Instagram that like attracted somebody that said like, you should just get paid being you, pretty much, right? Like, I'm curious about that.
It was weird. It was early 2020, and I feel like I wasn't really presenting the way that I present now, which is very much like pleasure and eroticism and like being in your power around money. Like I feel like I was still kind of in my fetus stages of my business almost, and I wasn't super empowered. So I don't know what that guy saw. Maybe he just thought I was like attractive and was like, you should be paid to be attractive or whatever.
That's amazing. Oh my God, I love that. Okay, cool. And so is that how you found your first client, like you said, was through Twitter, or was that person that DM'd you, like did they become your client, or how did that work?
He did not. I asked him, I was like, so do you want to be my pay pig? And he was like, no, I'm like, I already am committed to a dom. So but he was like, but you can go on Twitter, and like he gave me the ideas and everything. He was like super nice. I literally haven't talked to him since. Like, it was just that one conversation, and he like went away. Like he just came into my life and disappeared. It was like this.
Oh my God, like a kind of like a fairy godmother, but like this dude. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So I started getting clients through Twitter.
Okay.
And a brief stint on Reddit, which Reddit is a brutal
Interesting.
place. So
okay.
I didn't stay there for long.
Oh, okay. What kind of things would you be posting in order to attract clients, like dom clients?
Yeah, so it's a mixture of like humiliation type posts, like you should be bowing down, you don't deserve things in your life if you don't have a dom, like if you're not serving me specifically. And so there's like this power play dynamic of like, I am above you and you should be your purpose in life is to please me. Right. And so that's a mixture of those, as well as just like personal, like warming up posts. It's a lot of the same that we do in like marketing with our coaching businesses, of like warming up, getting to know us, as well as talking about how we provide our service and like what our containers look like. So there was a lot of like, when you're my sub, like this is how it feels, and this is like the transformation that I give. So it's a lot of like stuff that we learn about how to market our coaching business.
Yeah. Okay. That's so cool. And so did you find that fun? Like the marketing side of that as well?
Yeah, it was a lot. It is a lot to have two separate businesses, two separate Twitters, two separate like, pillars of a business.
Yeah.
And for a long time, they felt very separate to me. I felt like I was two different people. But just recently, even since like we booked this call over the last few weeks, I've really felt more enmeshed, or like combined together between my two personas, and it feels really good.
Yeah, I've noticed. It's super cool. So what do you think it is that drew you to dom work, dominatrix type work?
Yeah, I think that it was fascinating to me just watching other women. Like if you want to change your money mindset, go to sex work Twitter, because it is like, they are like so empowered with their money. They are so like I deserve this money. I am in alignment with the money coming to me. And it just felt very much like this is how I want to feel about money. And since my whole life is already about money because I'm a money coach, it felt really in line with who I wanted to be.
That is so interesting and cool because like it's so true. I feel like some of us have so much work to do around guilt around earning money, or we need to prove to earn money or something like that, right? Like we have to work hard to earn money and things like that. We can't just be gifted money. If we're gifted money, we feel like we owe people something, right? Whereas like what you're talking about, especially like sex work and dom work, it's like, no, I just get, it's just like, no, there's no guilt at all, right? To like taking someone's money.
Yeah,
That's
it's like,
so cool.
This is so normal. Like, duh, of course I would be paid to just exist pretty much. And there's a little bit more that goes into it because you are providing a service and you are providing a place for you and the other person to have fun and to get your rocks off or your kinks fulfilled. So it is a little bit more than just being paid to just exist.
Right.
But sometimes it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah. But I think that's the mindset you kind of have too, right? Of like you are this hot shit that should get paid just to exist kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I would love to know more about like, okay, so that one guy said that he's already committed to another dom. So is it kind of like it is like a committed relationship type thing? Is that different for everyone, or like how does that like relationship work?
Yeah, so it's different for everyone. I do have several committed subs right now who technically they're like in their Twitter bio or like in their name, they'd say like Goddess Hazel's sub or like owned by Goddess Hazel or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But there are a ton of kind of like booty call type relationship where they're just like they'll create an account, buy one of your PPVs or buy a session, and then you'll never hear from them again. Mm-hmm. And they'll like delete their account, they'll block everything, like remove everything. And so it's like very like pop-up style of like working with people. So it's different for everyone for sure. But I do have a couple long-term subs that have been just beautiful and like we're really good friends.
Oh, amazing. So you have a relationship outside of the dom and sub relationship?
Yeah, for me it's important, like my boundaries specifically are that it's not that I'm not always on, that I'm not always in my dom persona, that we're getting to know each other. I want to know about your family, I want to know about your job, and in that way I can kind of cater and tailor your experience when we do go into session to be very personalized.
Okay, right. And so there is a kind of character that is it a character? Is it a persona? Like, is it an alter ego? Like, what do you call, and do you have a name? I think you just mentioned like a name that you have.
Yeah, so on the internet, I'm Alien Goddess.
Okay.
And as well as like on the phone sex lines, that's my little handle or whatever.
Sick.
But when they want my name, I use the name Hazel. Okay. For a little bit of like anonymity, especially if I'm on the phone sex lines. Like I don't want people to know my real name. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I use Hazel and Alien Goddess, which I don't know, you know that's like right on brand for me.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, cool. And then you have, that's the name, and then you have a persona, you said, or something?
It's a little bit of a persona. It's a little bit more, I just kind of stand up a little bit taller, and I am like more demanding and much more like strict, and also encouraging, and like it's just very different than like being friends, because I'm now stepping into the object of your devotion. And so I get to be my highest self in that moment and be in my power.
Oh my God, that is so cool. So how do you Okay, I have so many questions like all at once. Okay, first maybe just like when you said there's a session, so do you have like kind of like a contained amount of time where this is like the time that I am being a dom and we're doing a dom and sub relationship, like, so is it very like, you know, it's very clear, or is it kind of like, do you have like, you know, ongoing text messages as Hazel, things like that? Like how does your container, what does the container look like?
So my favorite type of container is we chat pretty much.
Okay, you're back. There was a frozen. Go ahead.
Okay. My favorite type of container is that we chat most days for several hours a day. And so like I also do a bit of lifestyle domination, which is really fun for me, like telling them what to wear in the morning, what to eat for breakfast, like what types of like where they can spend their money, which is in line with the financial domination, but it also falls into like lifestyle doming, which is really fun for me because it's like micromanaging, and a lot of subs really love to be micromanaged. So, and then sometimes we do move into like a video call where they'll be wearing what I tell them to wear when they show up. They'll be in the position that I tell them to be in when I tell them.
I love that.
And then I will basically just give them orders the whole time. And this is, I want to preface I didn't preface this, but I want to say in the middle of all this, this is super unique to me, and every single dom is so different. And like I'm still brand new. Like I've only been doing this for a couple years, and so I'm going to be learning a lot over the next few years. And so I just wanted to say that is I'm speaking about the way I do things and not the way it's done, just like blanket, you know.
Right. Okay. Because it's going to be very like I'm guessing some doms like really geared towards some of the harder, maybe more intense stuff, right? And I guess it's just preference for everyone with each person.
Right,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and some doms don't even do like video sessions. Some doms are 100% in person, 100% online. I'm 100% online at this point because I started during the pandemic, so I've just never had the opportunity to have an in-person session. And so so there is a little bit of a separation, but like in our text messages, I will be doming them as well, just lifestyle stuff.
Yeah.
And then during the sessions, it's much more sexual. We use toys, and we use outfits and certain things to elevate that experience so that it's not so mundane.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So what do you feel like you've learned about, I don't know if it's like, what kind, okay, my question is like, what do you think you've learned about people through this work? Or like maybe these specific kind of people that want to have these kinds of experiences, you know, like these kind of fantasies. What do you like what do you learn from all of that? I'm really curious about that.
Yeah. One of my favorite long-term clients right now, he is like a true switch. Like he loves to be the dom, and he also loves to be the sub. So right now we're like playing in the sub space. And it's just fascinating to me how we can kind of go for a month or two and him be in the subspace, and then all of a sudden like it switches and he's in the dom space and he wants to like play with me being submissive, which I'm not usually a sub, but for him specifically, he's been here since the beginning, and so we do a lot of stuff together. But it's just fascinating. It really shows me the duality of everything, and like how people can hold multiple kinks and fantasies at the same time and be multi-passionate, dimensional beings and hold it all within this body. You know, it's just really cool.
Yeah, it's so true, because like I feel like I'm so, like, I made a tweet recently that I'm like sexually liberated and I'm a prude at the same time. You know, like I can be shy when I watch like a movie where people are making out and yet like I can fuck like a whore as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, I'm gonna look through some of the questions that people were wanting me to ask as well. Would you be willing to share, like, what is like the most interesting, kinkiest thing that you've ever been asked to do, or you asked a client to do?
Oh gosh. I don't know. How dirty can we get on Twitch? I don't know. Like,
I say go for it. Yeah.
Explicit.
And you can go as explicit, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, so recently, I don't know, there's been a trend of subs coming to me that are really into CEI, which is come eating instructions.
Okay.
And so it's just it's a fun, like, instructional way of, like, how and where to put your cum, and, like, it goes with, so JOI is jerk off instructions, and they pretty much always go hand in hand, JOI and CEI. And that's just been really fun because it's so hilarious to watch men squirm when, like, you're like, okay, now lick it. And, and they're like, oh.
Oh my god.
It's so fucking funny, dude. Like,
oh my god. Oh my god. You made my podcast co-host like helper like break down into laughter. Oh my god. Okay, that must be so funny.
It's so fucking funny, dude, because they like want it. Like, they ask you
yeah.
for it, and then they like don't want to do it. But it's really funny because they like turn into like a little bratty a little bit, and they're like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Some guys are just like, all right, yeah, let me do it. Like,
yeah.
You know, I'm totally down with it. But yeah, it's that's been the most fun for me recently. And it kind of happens where
so
like
funny.
where I'll attract people who are like all into the same thing for a little while, and then it'll shift to something else, and I'll attract people into different things. So yeah, in that way, it just kind of like it rolls with my own interests too.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting, like, because it does kind of talk about what you just said about how people can have that duality of like, people can have self-respect and then also at the same time, like, want to do these things that feel humiliating. Like, maybe can you also explain more about like, why do you think like people would want to experience like sometimes like a type of humiliation, right?
Yeah, I think it's a self-flagellating thing. It's like it's a self-sabotaging, a self-punishment. Like, let me just kind of play and when I say, okay, let me finish the sentence. Let me play in the filth and see what that feels like to get a little bit dirty and like to do the taboo thing. And I don't want to say filth as in like derogatory in any way, because like I believe that every kink is like, you know, to a certain extent is worthy and should not be shamed, but it is a way of playing in your own shame and being at one with our shame. And that's kind of one of the ways that I teach about money, is that we can use scarcity and shame as a teacher and a guide to being our best selves out in the world. Like, we kind of have our sad bitch moments, our like, let me just roll around and be like, you know, self-deprecating a little bit, and then step out even more empowered after that. Yeah.
And I wonder if there is something also kind of freeing to like allow yourself to just play in there and be told what to do, right? And you know, like, not like you said, like when you're in your persona, you are on type of thing, right? Whereas as a sub, there's something liberating that like I'm not on. I am being told what to do and things like that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna keep like comparing this to coaching because it's a lot like showing up to a coaching container and the coach already having an agenda for the container where you can just kind of sit back and be like, okay, I can be led, I can be held, I can be safe here, and whatever comes up is totally fine.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And then that brings me to my next question. What do you do to keep it safe, I guess, right? Or do some clients want to feel almost unsafe, or how do you create the culture in a way, right?
Yeah. So to me, there's this masculine container so that the feminine can play. And so we do a lot, like I have a very lengthy application process if you're going to work with me one-on-one. So I figure out what you're into, what you like to be called, what your hard limits are. Anything that you're like is a soft limit that you are trying to work on or like get more comfortable with, or just trying to see like if you like it or not. And we do a pretty lengthy like conversation around what do you have set up in your life so that you can be safe and held and comfortable after our sessions. Because it's hard for me to provide the aftercare when it's all online. You know what I mean? So it's important to me that my subs have support in their real lives, maybe a supportive partner. If not a supportive partner, then a therapist of some kind or friends that know about the lifestyle. And if none of that is set up and they still want to go forward, I make it very clear that it's on them to manage their own mental health with this container, because it can be very disruptive to the nervous system. You know, you leave sessions sometimes feeling scattered or frayed, but if I'm doing my job right, I'm like closing the container and like allowing some kind of separation from session to real life.
That's really cool. It sounds very caring and like you said, like motherly, or like it sounds very loving, actually, right? Even though I think in pop culture, when we think about a dominatrix, we think about one that is very just like, crack the whip, right? And almost seems like there is no love and there is no care. But in order to really do a relationship like this, it sounds like boundaries have to be so clearly set up. Mental health has to be so put in place. Do you ever want to do something in person in the future?
Thought about it, and right now it doesn't sound interesting to me to do it in person. But I would never say never.
Okay, you know? Yeah. And then do you have things like contracts or anything like that, right? To that kind of stuff, like liability type stuff?
Yeah, so with the financial doming specifically, I do have a contract that we go through, and because sometimes it involves like me actually managing the client's money, which is something that I do for my vanilla clients, my bookkeeping clients, or I used to. And so that love of micromanaging in that way, like really translated into my dom work. So we do have a financial domination contract so that like anything that happens, I'm protected.
Okay, that's cool. Could you share just a few more stories of like things you've asked like a client to do, or anything else that you find memorable that you've done recently, things like that?
Yeah, so one thing that really sticks out to me, my client sent me a video of this person who had nipple clamps connected to the wall, and they were like super tight, like there wasn't a lot of give from the wall. So like and then they had a dildo connected to the wall, but it was like the dildo was just long enough to where the nipple clamps were pulling. So he couldn't like, so we did this in section, and he couldn't like pull away far enough to,
without
like,
it hurting.
Yeah, without the dildo like leaving his mouth, and also pulling on the nipple clamps. And so we played around with like pain a little bit. Like I made him kind of like sit far so that it was tight and like pulling. And then I made him like, you know, take the dildo all the way, and like he loves like dildo training and stuff like that.
What does that mean?
It just means like working on your gag reflex and being able to like take.
No way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that also because like he's straight bi, like because he wants to learn how to not, or is that like another humiliation type thing?
It is a humiliation type thing.
Okay.
He's in a straight marriage,
Okay.
so I don't know his sexual orientation, but as far as his relationship goes, he is straight. So yeah, and he's got, you know, a family and kids and everything like that, which is wild. It's just like,
Yeah.
it just like proves the duality, you know, like it's really amazing. And he's an amazing man. Like we've been friends for a couple years. He's one of my long-term clients too.
And would you be able to share, like, does his family know? Is this something that his family is like cool with, things like that?
This one specifically, his wife does know that he does play in the lifestyle. She's not into the whole femdom situation. But a lot of my clients don't have supportive partners, and they're doing it in secret.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. How do you feel about that? Like, what are your thoughts about this being a secret thing?
Yeah, I mean, I would never tell any of my clients, like, what to do with their relationships, but my husband knows that I do this work, and it just feels, in my relationship, it's important to have everything out on the table, regardless of how scary it might be to present that to the partner. But everyone's relationship is different, but I would encourage my clients to have that conversation with their partners, if they felt safe doing so.
Okay. Yeah. And would you share how you were able to have that conversation with your partner? Like, was that something accepted immediately, or was it like tough at first? Was that like a thing you had to go through therapy together kind of thing?
We never went through therapy, no, but he doesn't really get it.
Okay.
And he's like totally like, you know, you do whatever you want. I just don't want to hear about it. But
Okay.
he also, like, it was more of like a, like, I found out about this thing and it's really fucking weird. And like, you know, when I was first introduced to it, I was like, this is wild. Like, I've never heard about any of this stuff. So I went to talk to him about it. I said, well, you know, what do you think? I think I might do this and like see if I can make some money. And like, he was like, yeah, you know, do whatever, but just like be safe. And, you know, I don't want to know, like, it's just like, don't tell me anything about it. Like, sometimes I'll tell him like the wild stuff, but like pretty much we don't really talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. So he has his boundaries around it, kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, cool. So do you have another wild one to share? I mean, I just want to hear a little more.
I'm trying to think. Okay, so there's this one guy that calls me quite a bit on the phone sex lines who likes to he likes to pretend like I'm his girlfriend, but I'm really into his boss who's got a huge dick.
Okay.
And like I like talk about his boss all the time, and like we kind of have this ongoing fantasy where like he'll call me and he'll be like, so tell me what my boss said to you, and he wants it to be a little bit more like where his boss is dominating me, and I'm being submissive to the boss, but being dominating to my boyfriend. So
Okay.
like I'm submissive to the boss, but I'm super dominating to my boyfriend, which is the guy that's calling me.
Yeah.
And so there's this like switch dynamic there as well, which
Yeah.
is super fun for me. I love role play, and like there's a guy who chats me a lot who wants to be like, he calls it being milked over and over and over again. And so, but he loves the fantasy of like doing it in public in front of people. And he's like, you're humiliating me and you're like making me come over and over and over again, and like in front of all of these people. And so that's something, and he kind of changes the scenario every time. It's like sometimes it's at work, and sometimes it's like with his wife, or sometimes it's like with his family. Like it's just like he switches it up sometimes. It's really fun.
Do people like after a call or after a session, do people contact you and be like, that was an amazing session, like, and like you're both out of character, right, out of the role play, but like they're giving you feedback kind of thing?
Yeah, they do.
That's so cool. What about like the opposite? Do people tell you like, that was good, but like I would like this more, or something like that? Do they give you critique?
Not so much.
Okay.
And that's something that I would really be open to, especially because, like I said, I am still learning, and I want to know everything that like I could be doing better. So I'm especially subs that have been in the lifestyle for a long time, and they're like open to kind of providing me feedback.
Yeah.
That would be amazing, but
Okay.
not so much. People don't do that.
Okay, interesting. I wonder if that's part of the Dom sub relationship, like you don't give your Dom feedback kind of thing.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I could see that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So what
Where
do
you're,
you
like, kind of,
Oh,
like,
sorry, go ahead.
Like the Dom is like the one setting the scene, and like you have no choice, which I don't agree with. I mean, some Doms might be very strict like that, and they're like, what I say goes, and you're gonna have to just like it no matter what. But yeah, I'm like, if they come to me and like, can we do this for a little bit longer? Like, I feel like we switched from this to this too quickly, and I was like really into that while we were doing it. And so yeah, totally, I would love that.
Okay, cool. Oh my God. What do you love the most about sex work or Dom work?
Yeah. Yeah, first of all, I really love the role play. It's so fun for me to like, because on the phone sex lines, I'm not just a dominatrix, I'm doing everything. So there's like a lot of girlfriend experience, there's a lot of just normal like girl next door, come over and like seduce you type like role play. And that's really fun for me. And it just like allows me to play in all of my archetypes, which I use in my business. You know, you and I have talked about the CEO archetype a lot, and like that kind of thing. So it just kind of expands my mind to everything that I can be, and removes the shame from a lot of the shame and judgment that I might have previously held toward parts of my own self.
Okay. So it sounds like it's also like you're learning a lot about you through this experience. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting. Okay, let me find another. Oh, this one's good, I think. What do you think makes a good dominatrix?
Okay, definitely someone who sets the boundaries at the beginning, learns all the kinks, like there's a process. And I know that a lot of really great dominatrixes, doms, do it that way, where they do it intake form, and a good dom knows what they're comfortable with as well. So I set my own boundaries. I don't do forced in talks. I don't do.
What does that mean?
It means like I had a guy come to me who wanted me to do forced in talks, where I would tell him it's either like eating until you're uncomfortable, like just like massive amounts of food and just eating to like punish yourself almost.
Yeah.
Or this guy particularly wanted to drink like liters and liters and liters of Coke.
Okay.
So like just so much soda, But a lot of people want to be told to drink alcohol or take certain types of drugs. And that to me is just a little bit over the line. I'm not comfortable doing that because I don't know, especially online. Like I can't ensure they're in a safe environment for me to be comfortable doing that. So there's setting your own boundaries and being okay with telling a sub or a client no when they want something that you are not comfortable giving.
Is there anything else that you won't do?
Certain types of race play make me uncomfortable, and like family play make me uncomfortable. Like there's a kink called Daddy Dom Little Girl or DDLG, and I'm just not into that. So I just won't do it. I did have a guy calling me for a while who wanted to do like daughter stuff. And as much as that's like step family porn is like really in right now, the taboo of like step family and stuff on like the porn sites, I felt like he was taking it just a little bit into like an abusive place, and so I wasn't comfortable and I blocked him. So
okay.
Yeah.
So you would just block people if anything got too weird?
Yeah, if I felt like we could have a mature conversation about it, then maybe I wouldn't. I would just tell them, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. But that person specifically would call me on the phone sex lines, and he would start out the scene that way. So I didn't really have a rapport or any kind of relationship with him outside of the scene. So I didn't know if we could have that conversation.
Okay. So it is like you do have to be really creative, it sounds like, by like, it's like a scene. So like is it kind of like improv? Like when you said scene?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit like
That's so interesting.
I've never thought of it that way. But yeah, like this scene is like the container pretty much.
Yeah.
And when we set the scene, when I get a message being like, okay, you're my next door neighbor and my wife just went to sleep, or like I just got a flat tire, or like something like that, and that's setting the scene, and then we go into the scene and play it out.
Okay, cool. And so do you have hours? Like when you say phone sex lines, does that mean like you're like people are available to call between these times kind of thing?
I set my own hours.
Yeah.
So usually it's just a couple times a week I'll be there if I have a slow day. But so I'll set like to taking calls, and then I'll start chatting with people on the phone sex lines. That's where I make most of my money. Or the fastest money, I would say, because I don't have a lot of long-term subs at the moment. They're really just people on the phone sex lines that I talk to occasionally.
And is that all through Twitter as well, like how people find out kind of thing?
No, so I use a site called Night Flirt, and it's pretty self-contained. Like there's a ton of clients already on it. And they do their own advertising, and so just me being a flirt on the site opens me up to taking new calls. And like I have a list, like a few different listings in the different categories. So like I have a BBW listing, and I have a Dom listing, and I have a just like women home alone, like I want to cheat on your wife kind of thing, because I find that really fun, that role play.
Cool. Awesome. Why do you think that like people have such, or like culture in general, pop culture, like we have such a fascination with this like dominatrix sub kind of like relationship, right? Like, why is that? Like, why am I so curious? Tell me.
Yeah, I really don't know. I'm not a like psychiatrist or psychologist or anything. I don't know much about like human behavior, but I'd say it has to do with the taboo of it. Just like
right.
it's not allowed, so it's fascinating and also like hush hush and like kind of kept in the shadows and stuff like that. Which that's how it's portrayed on media and stuff like that, is like being in a dungeon somewhere, like being whipped, like on a on a rig,
Yeah.
and just like hanging there being whipped. Which is, I think that's a very small percentage of all of the dom world.
Yeah.
There's so many different types of doming.
Yeah. That seems to be like what pop culture definitely like the with the strap-ons, right? With the gimp mask, like the latex and things like that. Like, do you have though not a costume, but like do you dress differently when you're in a session or anything like that?
No, I don't. And I actually know doms who don't even like ever get naked at all. And they don't show any parts of themselves. They will take pictures in like latex and certain outfits, but for me, I don't find latex comfortable, so I just show up as I am usually to sessions, kind of to show them that like I don't have to perform for you. You're the one performing for me. And usually I'll tell my subs to wear like panties or their favorite like little skimpy outfit, or come with the ball gag on and like an array of toys, all of that kind of stuff.
Okay, so there is still the iconic ball gags and things like that being used as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fun. Okay, I'm gonna look through. I had a question, but then I forgot. So I'm gonna see what else people ask me on Instagram to ask you. Oh, this is a question I wanted to ask you too. Just like in general, why do you think sex work is important?
I think it is so important, like so vital to the society that we live in, because it's an outlet, and I think that's a normal answer of just like it's an outlet for stress and anxiety and stuff like that. But it's a truly trusting relationship. Like there are people who go to the strip clubs who have their favorite stripper who they have a relationship with, that they show up over and over and over again, and like it's just, and it's good for it's like therapy. like there's a lot of holding space for people's real life problems in a session or in a scene, and they may play out a scene that they witnessed in a different part of their lives that they need to work through in their minds. And so they may have a very specific need, which is, I'm not a mind reader, so I really appreciate when people come to a scene and they tell me exactly what they want me to say, exactly how they want to feel at the end of it. But usually I can kind of gauge where it's going, like what they want from it, by just what they're telling me at the beginning.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's I mean, so the taboo, not just with like dom work, but sex work in general, right? The taboo, it's sad, or it doesn't make sense, because it is like something that we're all sexual beings, right? Or not everyone, obviously, of course, but like we all have we all have desires, we all have, and it sounds like for a lot of people, you're maybe like the one place too that they can really express all this stuff too, right? Like what they secretly want, what's really going on inside their head. They get to play that out with you, and they literally pay you for a safe space, it sounds like. and I can't, yeah, go ahead.
There is a sex worker for everyone. Just because I don't do certain type of race play or forced intox or anything like that, there are specifically forced intox doms. There's specifically race play doms or sex workers. So it's like, you can find what you need even if it's not from me. And that's really beautiful to me.
Yeah. That makes me think about how, like, there is a coach for everyone, or there's a therapist for everyone. Like, if one coach or one therapist doesn't quite work for you, right, it doesn't mean that there's not somebody out there that can really be that safe place for you. Yeah, that's amazing. So when you're working with a client, are you getting pleasure out of it as well, or is it kind of like a job? Like, are you seeing it like, this is a job right now?
It's interesting. With dom work, I would say I'm not turned on. It's more fun. It's more like entertaining and like fun. But with the phone sex lines, there are certain scenes that we do where I'm like, oh, this is hot. Like, I'm into this. Like, I get like a little tingly and a little wet. But like, for the most part with dom work, it's a, I do feel like it's a part of me that I miss if I take a break from doing the work, but it's not a sexual thing for me.
Okay. What would make you take a break?
Life, coaching. I've taken several breaks over the years, and I actually do want to point out that I have some unpaid subs as well. So not everyone pays me for the work. Some people, like one of my long-term subs who I was just talking about, whose wife is not into the scene, but she knows about it. That's like their one limit, is that he is not allowed to pay for anything, but he can play in the scene. He's just not allowed to pay for anything. But she sends me like gift cards sometimes, like Starbucks gift cards and stuff. But we don't do like pay per session or like monthly fees or anything like that. Okay.
And what makes you take on free clients? Is it just for fun then for you, or like, what's your reasoning?
Yeah, it's mainly for fun for me, and also for experience. Like, I took him on at a time when I was just starting, and I was just kind of like taking, everything that was coming my way, whether it was paid or not. And yeah, that one has just really turned into a really great relationship. And like I said, we're really good friends.
Okay, cool. So, like in coaching or in art, like, or in entrepreneurship in general, like, I think for a lot of us, the way that we think about it, the future for a lot of us that really wants to keep growing in it, it's like make more money, right? Build an empire eventually, all this stuff. As a sex worker and as a dom, do you see that the same way? Like, what do you think? How do you see yourself in 5 years, kind of thing, as a dom? Do you see just making more money, or like, what does that look like to you?
That's such an interesting question, because I've literally never thought
about
it. Like, to me, it's like a day by day thing. Like, some days, like I'm ready and willing to be on and like doing sex work, and other days I'm not. And that's a super privileged position for me to be in, because sex work is not my main job. So I've just never really thought about developing it as I would my coaching business. Whereas like my coaching business, I'm like, pumping it out every single day, like regardless of really whether I'm like in the mood or not. And that's my devotion to my business. But and that's interesting, because I would say my devotion to my coaching business is like fueled by my sex work. So like, I feel like my sex work helps me be a better money coach. So I do my sex work to develop my own kinks and my own dom sub relationship within myself. Like me being able to like dom myself or be submissive to certain like emotions is really important to me in my coaching work too. Cool.
Oh my God, that's so interesting. Wait, can you describe more what it means to kind of be a dom to yourself?
Yeah, so I find that my brain is like very sabotagey and like very like bratty and minxy, and it's just like so I my devotion to my business, I have to like really dom my brain and be like, okay, you need to get your shit together, like get dressed, like you know, sit down at your desk, like you know, do your laundry, like stop making excuses for being a lazy bitch, which sometimes I'm just a lazy bitch, but but and then like being submissive to my emotions and like not trying to dom my way through having an episode, you know, having a breakdown, or like being super sensitive, and allowing that to kind of take me where it will.
Okay. Wow, that's so interesting how it does. You can apply that to yourself, you know. You can like you can. It's like a tool. It's like a new tool for you. That's amazing. Oh my God, I love it. Wow. Oh my God. Okay. Let me make sure that like I don't miss on any of the questions that people wanted me to ask. Someone asked, is it possible? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I saw a question in the Discord that was asking about how I prepare for a session, or
yes,
like go in the session.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting question, so I'd love to answer that
yeah,
one.
please do. Yeah.
Okay.
Take it.
It's
his. It's Jules's. Yeah, anyway. Go ahead.
Great question. That's so funny. And like I've taken sessions from like the hospital parking lot, or like the CVS parking lot. Like I just like, you know, we pull up on the phone and like we do a quick session, and like it's that simple. But usually when I'm sitting down here at my desk, it is a bit of a process, and I will have my own toys, not to use on myself, but to use as like a prop to I don't want to say threaten, but like to
intimidate. Yeah.
Yes. To intimidate the person on the other side.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I will get everything together, kind of take a moment away from social media, because like I am going into a persona. So it's like, I'm not necessarily who I usually am.
Yeah.
And so it takes a minute for me to like sit down. And then I have a whole playlist that I listen to like get me in the mood. I'm like all about curating playlists and like music and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fun.
Sometimes I'll eat something decadent, like chocolate, or like have, you know, a really nice drink. I saw this TikTok the other day. It was like, I'm a beverage girly. And I was like, I am such a beverage girly. Like I need like interesting and fun things to like have in my hand at all times.
Yeah.
So like that's something I do as well.
That's so cool, because like, so it's like you have a ritual to kind of get yourself in the mood, and also like to like increase your confidence, it sounds like. And it almost sounds like that's something that I feel like we should do whether we're a dom or not, you know? Like, so do you feel like the work, like, I mean, kind of like what you said, like the sex work fuels your coaching work. So do you derive a lot of confidence, right, from the sex work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really hard not to when you're being called goddess and people waking up. And I have one sub who sends me a picture of himself kneeling every single morning. Without fail.
Wow, no way.
Yeah, so he like gets down on his knees, he takes a picture of himself, and he sends it to me, and he says, "Good morning, goddess." And like, it's really hard to not feel super confident after that, you know?
Absolutely. Wow. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. So is it always he's doing the same thing, like in the same place, or does he change it up too?
It's usually in the same place, in his bathroom, but sometimes I'll tell him to like put his cutest pair of panties on, or like his stockings on, and he loves it, and he like loves being called a slut, and it's so fun.
That sounds so fun. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna just check again what else there is. okay, so how many, like, it sounds like it's work to manage like all these different clients. I know you said that you have a few one-offs and stuff like that. But how many clients do you like feel, well, one, how many clients do you have? And then two, like, what's like too much? What do you feel like is like the number that you would love?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same in coaching because I feel devoted to each of my clients, and it is a long-term one-on-one relationship. So right now I have 3 long-term subs where we have either a contract or an agreement, an understanding of some kind, who have been with me pretty much since the beginning. And let's see, have I ever gotten to my maximum capacity? That's when I take a break, when it gets just like a fucking lot, you know? So yeah, I would say like my max is like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Because they do need a lot of attention, and they need to be, and there's certain boundaries that I have. Like, I turn off my phone at 8. Most of the time, no weekend stuff, because that's time with my partner, and like, but during the day, I'm like totally open to being there for the relationship. Okay.
So, Jules, there's another question. Wait, really quickly, can I ask this question? Have you ever, because of all these different people that you would have to like remember, right? Like the information of different people, have you ever like mixed up and like you know, like said something that was meant for another client, that kind of stuff? Like, have you ever had like a fail, like a Dom fail?
Not in that way, like not mixing up people, but I'm trying to think of like if I ever like fucked up. Yeah. There are some times where like people will call me on the phone sex lines. Like recently, this happened like last week. This guy chatted me and was like, I want to feel this way. And he was like, and I said, okay. I asked like a follow-up question. He said, okay, I'm going to call. And so he did. And he was like, you know, I was asking him about his day and stuff like that. And I said something and he just hung up. And I was like, oh. Fuck. I don't know. Like, I was just like, oh, well, I mean, I guess it's not what he wanted. But
yeah.
I don't think I've ever had anything like that as like a Dom. But yeah, it's a sex work. Sometimes I'm like, I mean, sometimes you're just not what they want. And like, like I said, I'm not a mind reader, so I'm not going to know exactly what you want unless you tell me. So.
Okay. So nothing crazy yet. Like that's like that's like really, really bad.
No, yeah. I'm kind of like anal about my like record keeping too. So the form that I have them fill out, I have saved in my Google Drive, and like I consistently refer back to that information. So
okay. So you review that kind of the intake form, things like that. You review that like either before a session or like regularly kind of thing, just to remember. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, this is the question that came in. Is this from Discord or was it? Okay. Discord. Do you see parallels in the Dom subplay and the influencers trend on social space? People enjoying being led, for some to pain. Okay, I'm kind of like re-saying that, but pretty much it's like, do you see parallels? I guess maybe we can even like broaden this, but like do you see parallels in the Dobbin sub play like to other parts of society, right? Like, for example, in the influencer space where people are enjoying being led, and some to like, you know, I think people are talking about influencers scamming their followers, stuff like that. Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think there's so much decision overwhelm that we have every single day. And so it's really nice to look to somebody that you trust and just be told what to buy, what to do, what to wear, that kind of thing. Yeah. And yeah, I can see that is paralleled in pop culture and like social media and stuff like that to just kind of place your trust on someone else, so that it's just like one less decision you have to make during the day, which like I get it. I get it. Like, we take on so much information every single day. So it's like making informed decisions about every single thing that you're making an informed decision about is very difficult.
Yeah.
And so when you have someone you trust to lead you, then it makes everything much easier. And that makes that one decision, like, you kind of drop your shoulders and you clear your mind, and you don't have to be in control in that moment.
Yeah, and I feel like we are getting like more and more options, right? As our society develops, we just have more options of different detergents, of different clothing brands, of everything. There's just more of everything. And so having somebody to just tell us what to buy, what to wear, and all that stuff. Like, I remember in high school, they were considering I had a high school where we didn't have uniforms. And I remember like they were considering giving us uniforms. And I remember thinking like, yeah, that would be great. Then I just don't have to like think about what to wear in the morning, even though I would hate that now, But I remember at the time just being like, because I had to wake up so early as a kid. And so like just one less thing to think about in the morning. So yeah, I think it goes back.
Uniforms
Go ahead. Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like, I had no opinion about it. I was one of those kids that wore the same jeans, Converse, and hoodie every single day. And so it wouldn't have affected me. But I think that's interesting coming from you, like knowing your love of fashion.
It would not make sense now at all. Yeah. But I think it's because I remember waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning. That's early for me. Some people I know that's like normal. But like it was 5 a.m. in the morning to go to school. And I think your brain just my brain just did not work at that time in the morning, Like, so, I thought like the idea of uniform sounded great. But I feel like I understand the whole idea of that freedom to just be told what to do, because like if I were to lean towards like if I were part of this lifestyle, right, like which way do I lean? I definitely lean more sub, and I think it is because of that like I just don't want to think. I want to be told by somebody that I'm attracted to and is powerful, right? Like tell me what to do and I'll do it, kind of thing. So yeah.
You didn't ask this, but I will offer this up. I have only submitted to one woman.
Ooh, okay.
I get like if a dude tries to dom me, I'm immediately like, no, fuck you. Like, don't tell me what to do. But there's this one woman that I follow on Twitter that I've been following for a long time, and I actually named my Jeep after her because we were in a relationship, in a dom sub relationship at the time that I got it. And so, and she like called me kitten and like gave me like lots of like praise and attention. And that's kind of how I am working with my new coach. I told you I got a new business coach at the beginning of the call. I told her, I was like, I'm like a super huge teacher's pet. Like, I want to give me a gold star, like give me an A+, like give me all the praise, and like I want to be center of attention with you. And so that's a lot of my subs come to me because they love the praise aspect that I give. And I love to build my subs up and just be like, you're doing such a good job. Like, you're such a good boy. Like, thank you so much for like following my instructions. Like, you're doing such a great job. And like, I hope you have an amazing day. And so me and that dom are not in a relationship anymore, but, that was really fun for the short. I mean, it lasted for like a month, and then I was like, I'm not really much of a submissive, but I played around with it, and it was really fun.
Yeah, that's so cool. I guess that does make me think about how like you're right about the duality, because like I feel like I have such dom qualities in other areas of my life, but there are times when like we just want to be like, just a little experience of being praised feels so good sometimes. And then we're like
our inner child.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like you can definitely have and be both. Amazing. Okay, was there any other questions or anything else that like, because I think I asked all of like my main questions.
I think there's one. Is it possible to find out if you're a dom or a sub
Oh.
without a sexual experience?
Yeah. Did you hear that? I'll just re-say it. Is it possible to find out if you're a dom or a sub without a sexual experience?
A lot of, I wouldn't say a lot. Some of my clients come to me and we never go into a sexual scene. And they are looking for more of like the praise, the reinforcement. I would just say, like, I could give you like journal prompts to do. Like, as a coach, that's like my go-to to like figure out what you're playing with. But I would just say find somebody who you trust. Like, you can come to me and we can play around with it and see which way you lean. And like, you can, like I said, you can find paid doms, you can find unpaid doms. A lot of people are in the lifestyle. Check out the website FetLife, and especially if you want someone in your area, you can connect with people in the lifestyle in your area who are willing to go through that process with you.
Yeah, I think somebody has mentioned that website to me too. Okay, and then do you have any, other than FetLife, do you have any other like tips, I guess, for people who are curious and things like that? Like, how would they get started?
Yeah. So sex work Twitter is a great place to start because it's pretty anonymous. Like, you can just create a Twitter and go and follow a bunch of doms and see how their subs interact with them on Twitter. And a lot of times they'll post snippets of their clips that you can go on, like AVN or I'm trying to think of OnlyFans, all of the clip sites to purchase some and just see what you like, because there are super affordable clips out there that you can say, oh, that sounds interesting, and you know, when you're watching porn, like, search something that you like. If I talked about something that sounded interesting today, search it on Pornhub or whatever and see if you like it.
Okay, I love that. Like, ultimately what you said was go follow some sex workers, support them, see what you like, kind of thing, which is obviously like what I feel like this whole thing is about. Is like, I would love for there to be like less taboo around that, and also just for more sex workers to be successful. I think that's amazing to me, the idea of like sex workers making a lot of money. You know, I think that's so cool. Well, that's like the last thing that I had. I mean, I could ask way more, you know that. But like, we're already over an hour. We were thinking of only doing this for an hour. So
I haven't been looking at the time.
Yeah, I know. I just looked too. So I think we'll just start to wrap up because I'm sure you have other stuff to do today. So first, like, I'm just gonna like wrap up and close out. Like, the whole point of this interview is because, like I said, you know, I think for both of us, we really care about sex work, and we care about sex workers making a lot of money. And this was kind of like in relation to the project that I'm working on, right? The Love Lost Dolls project, which is like, it's 6,969 sex workers. That's literally it. And like, that's what I would love for everybody to be able to like have, is like, they have this like NFT that they worship. You know what I mean? Like, they have this NFT that they like pray to. I love that idea. And so, oh wait, there's one more question. Is there a dom that's a celebrity? Do you know? Like a famous one?
There's I mean, I don't know if she's a celebrity, but Coconut Kitty on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's a dom actually. She may just be a sex worker. I
Okay.
don't know. I'm not into like pop culture. Like I couldn't even name like 5 celebrities right now.
Oh, okay.
So.
I don't know about a dom, but the first person that I think of as like kind of like and I wouldn't call them a sex worker, but they're kind of like a sex symbol, right? Would be like Dita Von Teese. As
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say her. Yeah.
but like she was a burlesque dancer, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I don't think she's a dom. I think she's just a sex worker.
Okay.
Not just a sex worker. She is a sex worker instead of a dom.
Yeah. But it's like, well, I mean, there's Pamela Anderson, right? She's not a dom, but she's a very, very famous sex worker. There's a sex worker on Instagram that I follow, and her handle is hilarious. It's called Anal Princess. It is. Yeah. I love her. She's if anyone wants someone else to follow, like she's really well known as well. But I would say that there are quite a lot of sex workers who are like famous, you know?
Yeah, it's funny because I don't know if I would consider them to be celebrities, but I follow plenty of sex workers on Twitter who have hundreds of thousands of followers that I'm like, they are famous for being who they are, but the normal public would not know who they were. I
guess that's true, right? So that's why I'm thinking like Dita Von Teese is maybe the only one that I imagine is like part of like the celebrity world in a way, right? I think because of her relation to.
Now. I'm gonna like look up like.
I know. I'm curious too. Okay, if you find out, let us know. But in relation to that, like continuing on what I was talking about of like a lot of wanting to support sex workers, like one of the things that I wanted to make sure that people know about this project, the Love Lost Dolls project, is that we are donating to a sex work charity here in Indonesia. For part of the sales is going to go to they're called OPSI. And it's obviously very important to me because I'm Indonesian. This is where I'm based. And the taboo here is still very, very large. Like there are absolutely no celebrity sex workers here. No freaking way, right? So it really matters to me that this goes to them. And because I feel like it's hard everywhere, right? For sure. But I feel like it's just really, really hard for sex workers in third world countries, and especially here in Indonesia where it's against the law. Like it's literally like completely like criminalized. And that's what a lot of the work that OPSI does is like helping sex workers who have been criminalized for their work. And also obviously giving them, access to healthcare and giving them, just giving them like just helping them with their human rights, right? Because they should not be criminalized for this. So want to just make sure everyone knows about that because it matters so much. And then we officially also have a mint date for our NFTs. It's on June 29. So that's coming up really soon. That's like in less than a month, right? Yeah, that's in less than a month. So I'm very, 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 very excited about that. Yay. And I just want to say thank you again, Meaghan, for sharing so many amazing things. That was hilarious and informative at the same time. Like, oh my God, that was so fun to learn. And we're going to have more interviews coming up. We have another one coming up on May 30th. So stay tuned for like where that's going to be and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
Pleasure and my joy and my passion. I love you and I love your project and I'm just so fucking excited for you, dude.
Thank you. I'm excited for you too. I can't wait to hear more of like where this business coach is going to take you. Like, I feel like you're going to like integrate your sexual side even more and I'm here for it.
Lovely.
Okay, amazing. I'm gonna shut us off now and I will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.